In this video, we're going to be looking at how to optimize Hogwarts Legacy performance on a 1440p monitor. This is a high refresh rate monitor with an RX 6900 XT. So it's above the recommended this is above the recommended system requirements for 1440p 60 FPS. Because they do recommend, the developers recommend a RX 6800 XT for this game. So, with that said, let's go ahead and look at how the game performs with everything turned on to Ultra. So if we show the settings here, you guys can see we are running this on a 1440p monitor. You can see the resolution is set to 100%, TAA high. No upscaling. We will look at some of the upscaling methods because there are quite a few that this game supports across the board for all various different graphics cards. VSync is off, frame rate is 120, but if we want to, we can actually set, I'm just going to go ahead and put it to like 240. It's not really going to make much of a difference because the game is pretty hard to run overall. So you can see AMD Radeon RX 6900 XT, film grain, all this stuff, I'm just going to leave it all on. And then the effects and everything are all set to Ultra, with the one exception being that ray tracing is disabled. So let's see how the game performs. We're going to test a few different areas. So this is going to be outside of Hogsmeade, so this is out in the world. You can see like up in the, I have Afterburner running to show the frame rate. And then we just kind of like run around here. You can see all the foliage, everything is set to Ultra.
Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
And if we go into Hogsmeade itself, oh, actually, do I not have? Okay. Oh, I just leveled up. Cool. Oh, you can't do the PUBG thing if it's too tall. That's weird. I just kind of broke through it. But anyway, let's kind of run around here. Go through Hogsmeade. And this game does have time of day differences and weather effects, so like it was raining at the very start of this video, but now it's kind of let up. There is swimming. And then, yeah, so this is kind of how it performs in Ultra with RT. So now let's try FSR and XeSS. So if we go to the settings, we can change the upscaling type to AMD FSR 2. This is the latest implementation of FSR. So now what it does, and I really like this about this game, it actually shows you the in-game rendering resolution based off of what upscaling level you're using. So in this case, we're using FSR 2 quality. If you notice, now it says it's rendering at 1707 by 960p. So if we set this down to balanced as an example, you can see now the in-game resolution has dropped further to 1506 by 848p. So this is a very useful tool. Regardless of what sort of brand your graphics card is, you can use AMD FSR to get better performance, especially if you're on a much older GPU, like for example an RX 480 or a GTX 1060 or 1070 or something along those lines, or an RX Vega 56 or 64, and you did have those graphics cards, or you do have those graphics cards paired up with a 1440p monitor. This is something that you can do to get a much better average frame rate in this game. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it to the highest setting quality, so it's 960p, and see what the actual FPS looks like on a 6900X. So you can see now we're averaging over 100. Let's go into the city. So this game is, some people are going to say that it's stuttering for them. If the game is stuttering for you a lot, you probably only have 16 gigabytes of memory. You really want 32 gigabytes of memory. This system is equipped with 64 gigabytes of memory. So I don't have any of the stuttering problems that I've heard or read about online. For me, it's been a buttery smooth experience regardless of which graphics card I've tested this game on. But you can see this is kind of the performance with FSR 2. Now what's cool about this game is it does feature Intel XeSS as well. which is an open standard AI-based upscaler. So you can actually run this on Radeon or Geforce GPUs. So we're going to now test the Intel implementation. We're going to do Intel XeSS quality, which should be equivalent to FSR2's quality. You can see the rendering resolution didn't change. So now we're going to be using the Intel upscaler. So let's see how that one performs. So this one to me looks a little bit fuzzier, ever so slightly fuzzier, like especially when looking at the trees. But I don't know if that actually ends up being a good thing or a bad thing. But you can get really good performance using this upscaler as well. So it's kind of up to whatever you want to use. You're gonna have to probably take screenshots, still shots of different upscalers and compare the two of them in different parts of the game, different environments. For example, inside Hogwarts versus outside in the world like this, or in Hogsmeade, etc. So overall though, the game does run pretty well if you have modern hardware. You guys can see that I am running the latest generation of the AMD Ryzen CPUs. We have a Ryzen 7 7700X, and the average utilization on the CPU is, you know, just under 40%. So we are getting good CPU utilization, I would say.
Does it get any
overall? It's not like overwhelming the processor, and I don't really detect any sort of bottlenecking going on in terms of the CPU. So if we go outside, you can see the FPS drops, and that tells me that we are GPU bound when we're outside, because there's not a lot of NPCs out here, so there isn't really much of a reason for the game to be CPU bound while out here. Okay, now I've rebooted the game, or I've restarted the game to enable RT. Anytime you disable or enable the RT settings, you do have to restart the game. It's a little bit annoying, but I do want to kind of show what the performance with RT reflections enabled looks like. We're going to set that to, let's actually go ahead and set that to Ultra and see what that looks like. So as long as you have it enabled, you can change the RT quality in-game and not have to restart the game. The reason why shadows is disabled and ambient occlusion is disabled is because at this point in time, they don't really actually result in any sort of visual enhancements to the game. So let's go ahead and look at RT reflections in this game and see what it looks like. So we have RT reflections on Ultra. You can kind of see the ground now, how it looks there with the with the RT enabled. It is in some certain scenes or different parts of the game, it does look noticeably good versus without it. However, the art style of the game, the art direction, the general look and feel of the game lends itself to not really benefiting much from RT, at least from what I have tested and seen. So you can kind of see the water there, the chickens like spawning in. So it's kind of subtle. Like if we try to run through here, let's try to go back to Hogsmeade and see how it performs. Again, everything is Ultra. The only thing that has changed is now RT reflections is enabled and it is set to Ultra. So again, this is with it Ultra. Now we're kind of running through. The CPU utilization doesn't really change too much. Let's kind of go inside here, see if RT does anything while indoors. Look if there's any sort of reflections from the windows, because I have noticed that, at least in Hogwarts. Okay, so you can kind of see the light bounce from the window there. But a lot of this doesn't really look all that different from how the game looks when you don't have RT enabled. So and now let's go ahead and turn it off and see how it looks with it off. So I'm going to turn it off, apply, and let's see what happens with the FPS. So you can see the FPS went up quite a bit. So it's really going to depend. Like in my opinion, the RT in this game doesn't really do a whole lot for the visuals, so I would actually prefer to leave it off, just because it does result in much better average frame rates across the board. So that's kind of a look at RT performance in this game. Now you can actually mix it with upscaling. technology. So for example, if we turn it back on, and then we go back over here, and let's turn on AMD FSR 2 quality. So now with the two of them combined, now you have upscaling with RT. So now you're basically canceling out the performance penalty of enabling RT with minimal visual changes.
Does it get any more cozy
in terms
than
of the
Hogsmeade?
use of FSR 2? So yeah, this could be a way to go, like combining the upscaling with RT, and that does seem to result in a very playable experience. So you guys, depending on your hardware, you know, you're gonna ultimately have to toggle the settings yourself and figure out which one works best for your hardware specifically. So hope you guys found that sort of look at the game useful on this level of hardware. So this level of hardware is right around the recommended settings for 1440p 60 FPS. It's actually above the recommended requirements because we are running a 6900 XT instead of a 6800 XT. So that's why we are getting a pretty good experience overall. So hope you guys found this video useful, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.